We are going to talk about functions, and this chapter recently we started in the beginning of term 2. So let's have a look what this chapter is all about. The name of the chapter is functions. So when we talk about functions, it tells us a relationship between input and output. Or in other words, a function is a rule which connects input with the output. We will define the rule which will connect the input with the output. For example, if I have a number, and I said my rule is multiply the number by 3. So this is my rule. And then my output will be 3 times the number. If your number is x, your rule will be 3x. If your number is 1, your output will be 3. If your input is 2, your output will be 6. So did you see that I am connecting input with the output? In mathematics, input is represented by or denoted by x as an independent variable. However, the output is represented by y or f of x. So y represents the dependent variable because it depends upon my input. So 6 actually comes from 2. That's why y is a dependent variable. And the choice of input was mine. So that's why it is independent variable. Clear? Now, how to write a rule mathematically? This rule is called functions, as I said in the beginning. So in mathematics, we write f of x is equals to 2x plus 3. Now, I want to describe this function. So the description of this function is 2 times input, then plus 3, then plus 3. Whatever is the number you think of, you have to multiply it with 2, and then you add 3 into the result. Let's try. I think of 1. 1 is my input. This is my input. And I want to get my output by using this rule. So the rule says I need to multiply 1 with 2 and then add 3 into it. My answer comes to me 5. So 5 is my output. And how do I write it? F of 1 is equals to 5. 1 is my input and 5 is my output. Is it clear? So let's write few functions. F of x is equals to 3x minus 2. I can write another function g of x is equals to 5x squared. I can write h of x function as 1 over x. And when I want to find f of 3, then my output will be 3 times 3 minus 2. And the answer is 9 minus 2, it is equals to 7. 7 is my output when my input is 3. Suppose I want to find g of 3. Now my rule is different for the g function. What is the rule? I have to take the square of my input and then multiply with 5. What is 3 squared? 3 squared is 3 times 3, which is 9, and 5 times 9 is 45. Imagine in the previous rule, I got my output 7, but in this case, my out is 45. So may I say now, whatever the rule you have defined, you get the output accordingly. I used f of x as 3x minus 2. So for the input 3, I got the output 7. In the case of g function, my rule was 5x squared. So when I used my input 3, it gave me my output 45. In the same way, guys, if I have another function which is represented by h of x, okay, we read it as h of x. It is equals to 1 over x. And I want to find h of 3. So what I'm going to do, 1 over, in the place of x, I'm going to write 3. So 1 over 3 is my output. Now let's come back to the questions which we have set for you. Here, examiner has given a function, a rule, in which x is my input and 2x plus 6 is my output. Now, if I look at A part, B part, C part, and D part under this question, in all these cases, he's trying to give you the input and asking you what is the output. In the first case, my input is 3. And he's asking you, what is your output? In the second case, input is 10. He's asking you, what is your output? Similarly, in C part and D part, inputs are 1 over 2 and minus 4 respectively, and asking you what are their corresponding outputs. So let's do these questions. In Cambridge exams, when this type of a question comes, normally it carries 1 mark. So if it carries 1 mark, you are allowed to use calculator directly and don't waste your time. So you can see my calculator is shown on the screen and I want to find my output. So what you need to do, you can write 2 and in the place of the x, which is your input place, you leave the bracket open and close. And in the place of x, you need to put bracket open and close and plus 6. Got it? And I do the same thing here. 2 in the place of x, I put a bracket open close plus 6. So boys, check that. What is the value of x you have? I have 3. So replace x by 3. I'm ready to find my output. And I'm doing the same thing in the calculator, guys. It gives me 12. So my answer is 12. Input is 3, output is 12. And this is the thing which I want to find. Shall we apply the same procedure in the part B? Okay, I'm gonna rewrite the function 2x plus 6. But now in the place of x, I'm going to plug in the input 10. So when I write 10 over there, the time has come to compute this expression. Okay, so you can check it out in the calculator screen. In the place of the bracket open and close, now delete 3 and copy 10 because my new input is 10. Press equal sign, it gives you 26. So f of 10, it is equals to 26. So 26 is my output when my input is 10. Let's do the same thing in the C part. F of x is 2x plus 6. Because all of these 4 parts, I will use the same rule, which is f of x is equal to 2x plus 6. In the third case, the input is half. I'm going to replace my x with half and try to compute this. This gives me 7, and I'll do this in front of you by the use of calculator. 2 bracket open close plus 6, and in the brackets I need to write my input, and in this case my input is half. I'm going to write half. Agreed? Get your answer. It is equals to 7. 7 is my output. So input was half and output is 7. D part, same function. F of x is equals to 2x plus 6. F of minus 4, 2 bracket open minus 4 plus 6. Allow me to use calculator. Delete the number which is written in the brackets. Now the new input is -4. I'm writing -4 and then press equal sign. It gives me the -2. So for the input -4, my rule F is giving me the answer -2. That's all. So in Cambridge 0580 exams, if this type of a question comes, if a student use the calculator directly, examiner will not cut his marks because this question will carry 1 mark. And I will show you a past paper question maybe at the end, but this is the methodology which is usually used by the student in the exam when the input is given and he is looking for the output. So you can directly use calculator. It saves you from the numerical mistakes. Question number 2, which I have put in my sheet, it's a little bit more complicated function. Previous function was a linear function, and now it's a cubical function, a rule, a cubical function. I'll use the same strategy. If the input is 2, I'm looking for my output. I need to copy the function. F of x is equals to x cubed minus 2x plus 1. F of 2, and in the place of x, you have to write 2. Before that, leave the bracket open and close, and then copy 2 there. Now, may I use my calculator? So when I use my calculator, I write bracket open and close in the place of x and raise to the power 3, then -2, bracket open and close, plus 1. So in the brackets, I have to insert my input, which is 2. Imagine after inserting the inputs, I'm ready to get my output, press equal sign, 5. So my 5 is my output. So let me copy. If input is 2, output is 5 as per the rule. Let's do the second question. F of x is equals to x cubed minus 2x plus 1. Now my new input is -2. So f of -2 what I did in the previous part. In the place of x, I wrote bracket open and close. Why I wrote bracket open and close? Because this is the place where I have to fill the space with my input. My new input is -2. I'm going to write here -2. Again, I will call Mr. Calculator. Please help me. Okay. The expression is already written in front of you, but this time I'm going to use the del function, delete my previous inputs, which were written in the brackets. Now my new input is -2. Got it? Now I'm ready to press the equal sign to get my output. This is -3. -3 is my output. Let me rewrite what was my question. Input was -2, and now my output is -3. Let us repeat the same idea for the C part when the input is 100. So let me rewrite my function. F of x is equals to x power 3 minus 2x plus 1. Now in the place of x, I will write 100 because my input is 100. And here, what I'm going to do with these x's, replace them with bracket open and close. And in these brackets, I'm going to plug in my input, which is 100. Now, last stage where I have to use the calculator. Bracket open, close, power 3 minus 2, bracket open, close, plus 1. Now, fill the spaces of the brackets with your input, which is 100, and get your answer. 999,801. So 999,801. So my final answer is f of x. No, not x. F of 100. It is equals to 999,801, and that's my output. Last question. Copy the function x cubed minus 2x plus 1. Input is 0. So 0 power 3 minus 2, 0 plus 1. I think this is straightforward not to use calculator because 0 minus 0 is 0 plus 1. Final answer is equals to 1. So I got my answer. F of 0 is equals to 1. 0 is input and 1 is output. Now, question number 3 is interesting. Why? He has given you the function, which is a linear function, but at this stage, he has provided you outputs and asking you what are their inputs. So if inputs are required, what we need to do? Suppose in the exam, I have a function 2x plus 5, and he asks me two types of questions. What is f of 20? And what is x when f of x is equal to 20? Imagine, boys, here input is given. And he's asking you the output. And in this case, output is given. And he asks you about the input. So both are different things. So my students needs to know when input is given and I am looking for output, and if output is given, how to get the input. So let's do the first part, A. F of A is equal to 20. Can I find f of A? Absolutely. Right, that absolute the A when it is replaced in the place of x, it gives you what? It gives you 2 A is replaced here with X. So I'm going to write 2A plus 5, and I'm just going to copy is equal to 20. Guys, try to understand. This is f of A. And f of A, how it is defined? 2 of A plus 5. Can I solve this equation? Very easy. This is plus 5. When plus 5 goes to the other side, it turns into minus 5. So 2A equals 20 minus 5 is 15. And A is equals to 15. Here 2 is multiplied. On the other side, when it goes, it is divided. So final answer is A is equals to 7.5. Now, how to solve this with the calculator when the output is given? Interesting. I want to show you the function, original function. Can I copy 2x plus 5 on the calculator? 2x plus 5 on the calculator and write equal sign. Alpha calc will write the equal sign. And what is on the other side? I have 20. So write this equation where the 2x plus 5, my output is 2x plus 5, and he said it is equals to 20. I want to get the value of x, which is in fact here, A. I want to solve this equation. Guys, in the whole calculator, whenever you want to solve equation, you have to press shift and calc, which is for solving. I want to solve this equation. To solve the function, you need to press shift and then calc. Now, calculator will ask you for which value of x you are looking for. Ignore this one and press the equal sign. When you press the equal sign, the calculator left minus right is 0, and there is a 0 error, and my solution is 7.5. Can you check? Did I get the 7.5 answer? So students can verify their answers, from the calculator in the exam when the output is given. So you solve this equation by using equation solver. So this technique is using the calculator by equation solver. I can find my input. Let's do the second part. The second part, guys, he gave you f of b is equals to 0. So again, output is given, but I am looking for input. I can use directly calculator, but I have to show the method. So f of b is what? Come on, go ahead. F of b, because f of x is 2x plus 5. So f of b will be 2b plus 5. And he said it is equals to 0. I want to solve this equation manually. So the plus 5 goes to the other side, becomes minus 5. So it is 2b is equals to negative 5. I'm canceling 2 and right here divided by 2. So b will be minus 2.5. I want to check my answer from the calculator. How? Again, guys, I will repeat it. When the output is given and I'm looking for input, I have to use the equation solver technique from the calculator. So let us copy the function. 2 alpha, bracket close, will write the x, plus 5. And now I want to write equal sign, press alpha and calc. You get equal sign there on the screen. And now at this stage, the output is 0. So you put your 2x plus 5 equal to 0, and I am looking for my input. So press shift, solve. There is something written on the calculator, ignore it and press the equal sign now. When you press the equal sign, left minus right 0, and your answer or the solution of this equation is minus 2.5. So your input has to be minus 2.5. Suppose a student says, Mr. Romer, I am not convinced. Can you tell me that how can I check my answer is correct? No worries. Can you put your input minus 2.5 in the place of x? This is negative 5 plus 5, and the answer is 0. Oh, yes, my output is 0. So guys, I move in the reverse process. If I use the answer, which was the input, I substituted minus 2.5 into the original function, and I got my output 0, which is matching with the output given. So the value of B has to be minus 2.5. So I'm right. So be careful. In this case, output is given to you and you're looking for the input. Next question, C part. F of C is equals to -5. How your f of C equals to? It is equals to 2C plus 5 is equals to -5. Now cancel plus 5 and wrote here -5. So 2C is equals to -10 and cancel 2 and divided by 2. So C is equals to -5. Now may I check this answer from a calculator? So write the equation 2x plus 5 equals 5. Sorry. What is my output at this time? My output is -5. I'm going to solve this equation to get my required input. Press shift, solve, ignore this one and press equal sign. I got -5. Did you see? I already got my answers. So in this case, my input is -5. My input is minus 2.5, and this is. To satisfy you, Mr. Romer can write it as f of 7.5 is equals to 20. In this case, I can say f of -2.5, my output was 0. And in this case, I'm going to write f of -5 is giving you -5. So he gave you the outputs. It was given. And you found your inputs. Clear? So guys, both type of questions we discussed. When input is given, how to find the output, and when the output is given, how to find the input. Next concept is inverse functions. When we talk about inverse functions, guys, it means we are doing the opposite work. Let's try to understand it through the diagram. Guys, function is a rule which connects your input with the output. Your input is X and your output is f of X or Y. Clear? If you move in the opposite direction, like in the question number 3, when the output was given and you are looking for input, this way is called f, inverse of f. So inverse of f is a rule when output is given and you are looking for input. Let me write it for you so you never forget it. So f, I write in the bracket always input, and I'm writing output. But if I write here inverse of f, then it means within the bracket I should write output, and here it is input. I want to teach you how to find the inverse function. Suppose I gave you a function. I gave you a function 2x plus 3. And I want to find inverse function. Clear? How to do this job? Very, very easy. To do this thing, the original function will be written equals to y. I will explain it to you. Do you remember when I said, when I move from here to here, This is x and this is y. And your y is equals to what? Come on. It is equals to 2x plus 3. Done. Guys, can you move from here to here? Because I'm looking for inverse function. So why not I can make x alone because I want to find the value of x. It's possible. How? I write y is equals to 2x plus 3. Now send the plus 3 to the other side and it will becomes -3. So y minus 3 is equal to 2x. Now 2 is multiplied on the other side. It is divided. So it is y minus 3 over 2. Wow. So Mr. Omer, you got x is equals to y minus 3 over 2. Can you imagine? I have converted my input to output and output to input. So this is y minus 3 over 2. Now you will be surprised, Mr. Omer, how did you do this thing? I will make you this thing believe that what was my original function? My original function is 2x plus 3. Okay, this was the original function. I wrote it. Let's try one fixed value. F of 1. 1 is my input. And my input gave me the output 5. My input is 1 and my output is 5. Let me copy here. My input is 1 and my output is 5. Clear? Can I plug? Because my inverse function was y minus 3. You remember that? Y minus 3 over 2. Allow me to write here x because I used here x. So this has to be x. Check it out. This one thing I'm talking about. Now, if my input, yani my y is 5, I'm gonna write here 5. Did I get one? So imagine, guys, when I moved from 1 to 5, I used f. When I moved from 5 to 1, I used f inverse. So the inverse function and the functions, they are actually relating input with the output and output with the input. So f of 1 was 5. And inverse f of 5 was 1. So this is the rule for inverse functions. So let me solve the questions in front of you, then you will understand it very well. Let's try to find the inverse function for the first part. Read, I want to find inverse function. Let us copy a part. F of x, it is equals to x over 3 minus 2. What I'm looking for inverse function. This is the question. What to do first? Replace f of x by y. And y is equals to x over 3 minus 2. Any? This f of x should be replaced by y because my target is to make the x alone. So apply the algebra and try to make x as a subject, any x alone on the right hand side. So what I'm going to do with the -2, so the -2 will go to the left, so it becomes y plus 2 is equals to x over 3. Now this 3 is in a division form. When it will go to the other side, it will be cross multiplied and it multiplies with both y and 2. So 3 multiplied with y gives you 3y, and 2 multiplied with 3 gives you 6 is equal to x. Wow. So I wanted to make x alone, and I found x alone. So what is my inverse function now? My inverse function is, shall I write 3y plus 6? No, Mr. Romer. Since you are using x here, so you have to copy here x. So this is an extra thing you have to do. You need to write in the place of y, you need to write x. So this is my inverse function. Let me explain it to you diagrammatically, what I did. If this is x, you get answer x over 3 minus 2. If you get here y, what are you going to get? You're going to get here 3y plus 6. Or if Mr. Roman writes here x, then this will be 3x plus 6. So if input is given, you get the output like this. If the output is given, you get the input like this. But in both cases, you will see input and output are connected with each other. Let's do the second part, which is f of x equals to 4 bracket open x minus 5, and I want to find inverse of x. Before I find functions, inverse function, why I should not open the bracket. What was my first case when I was looking for inverse functions? So replace f of x by y, and I'm going to write y equals, open the brackets, so it gives you 4x minus 4 times minus 5 is minus 20. Now I have to make x alone. Minus 20 will go to the left, and you will get y plus 20 is equals to 4x. 4 is multiplied. When it goes on the other side, you will write y plus 20 whole over 4 is equals to x. Now my x is alone. What is my inverse function now? My inverse function is, come on guys, my inverse function is, just replace y by x. So I'm going to write here x plus 20 whole over 4. This is my inverse function. Is it clear? Let's copy the C part. In the C part, he gave you f of x equals x plus 4 whole over 5. And again, I'm looking for inverse of x. Change f of x to y. Now 5 goes to the other side, becomes 5y equals x plus 4. Plus 4 goes to the other side, and you write 5y minus 4 is equal to x. What was my target? I wanted to make x alone, and finally I have made x alone. What is my inverse function now? My inverse function is this. So 5, do I need to copy y? No, it should be 5. In the place of y, you write x. Since x is here, so you have to have x. If it is y, then you write y. So x, f5 of x minus 4. This is my inverse function. Thank you, guys.